Time for the business news now, and Delano D'Souza is with us in studio, and we're going to start, Delano, I believe, with a story that's set to dominate headlines again this week. It's not one we haven't seen in the past, and it's going to happen in Brussels.
It clearly is, Eve. Good morning. Now, this is a summit that the British Prime Minister hopes will end the Brexit standoff. Theresa May will be gathering with other EU heads of state on Thursday. She's anxious over calls from France and Germany for changes to a draft paper ahead of the EU summit. Paris and Berlin want to toughen the EU's stance and avoid giving the impression the bloc will agree to a transition as soon as sufficient progress has been made in addressing divorce issues. The Prime Minister has called on the German Chancellor to end the standoff. Now, later this Monday, Theresa May, along with Brexit Secretary David Davis, will be in Brussels to dine with the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker. Now, as the UK figures out its future out of the EU, the former US Secretary of State has said no deal would push companies in Britain to leave. Hillary Clinton also cautioned against striking any bilateral trade agreements with her former rival, Donald Trump. Take a listen.
I think it would be a very big disadvantage to Britain. I mean, no deal, meaning no preferential trade deals, but you're making a trade deal with someone who says he doesn't believe in trade. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out over the next few years.
Okay, well, let's leave that debate then for later in the week for now. And give me an idea, how are the markets shaping up so far?
Well, over in Asia, we are seeing a mixed picture at this hour. The Shanghai Composite was in negative territory, as you can see. This despite inflation data out of China released this Monday, which was in line with estimates. The Nikkei in Japan ending the session up 0.5%. Markets have begun the week here in Europe, and obviously geopolitical events in the UK, Spain and Austria weighing on sentiment. Positive start to the week on all the main indices here in Europe, but the IBEX in Madrid opening the session in the red.
As we've just been looking at there, the French president has been giving a lengthy televised interview for French media this Sunday, his first really for French media since he took office. He did talk a lot about the economy. Did he mention the unemployment rate?
He did, in fact. Emmanuel Macron said unemployment was a variable that just couldn't be fixed. The president said the full impact of the government's reforms on the unemployment rate would be seen in the next 18 to 24 months. Macron also listed out what he plans on tackling next. Take a listen.
The first act is freedom. The second act is the state unemployment insurance and training. Next year, I wish to start a real discussion about what a company is. It cannot simply be a gathering of shareholders, yet that is how our civil code defines it.
And finally, a full-page ad in the Sunday edition of the Washington Post offered $10 million for information that could lead to the impeachment of Donald Trump. Larry Flynt, the publisher of the porn magazine Hustler, paid for the advertisement. The ad asserts the U.S. president is dangerously unfit and his election victory was illegitimate in many ways. The Washington Post has set up a hotline for the next 2 weeks for tipsters to call in. And this is not the first time that Larry Flynt has taken to the media in order to get politicians to tumble.
Yeah, it's an interesting article, not one that you kind of hit us by surprise so far this morning. Delano D'Souza with the Business News. Thanks so much for that.